All right. We are back after a long break. Um, so we're going to learn a mimer that David said in Shabbos Pashas Nech. Mitzvah Shabbos Pashas Nech, Tavshin Lamed Ches. You can ask, we're already Tifin Cheshvan. Why are we learning a mimer from Pashas Nech? So today is Chav Gimel. Today is Chav Gimel Cheshvan. Chav Gimel Cheshvan is exactly a month since Simchas Torah. It says Simchas Torah is like when you start saying the Yankiv Halach Ladarke. Yankiv Halach Ladarke means, in other words, that we're entering into the work of the world, into the weekdays. We're leaving the month of Tishrei, like we'll see in the end of the Maimer. We're leaving the month of Tishrei with all the holiness of it, and we're going now into days of the week where we have to do and deal with the world the whole time. So I believe we're still in that, especially in the month of Cheshvan. We're still busy with the world. We're waiting. Soon, we're getting to Kislev. It's a Chasham Unhaven from the Shchedesh Kislev already. We're going to start bringing. But for now, we're still in Cheshvan, and we still have a year ahead of us. So let's see what our approach is supposed to be and what's really going on when we're busy living in this world that we all know about. So this mimer, I don't know if we're going to do it in one shir or in two shiurim. It's a short mimer. Either we'll have two short shiurim or we'll have one a little longer one. I think we could do it one time. Let's see. There's three steps in this mimer. Okay, three steps in this mimer. The first step in the mimer goes until Eis Dalid. Then Eis Dalid is the next stage. Then Eis Hey is the final stage where the Rebbe is going to in this mimer. And then Eis Vav is finally the takeaway, what it's supposed to mean in day-to-day life. Okay, so let's begin. In Parshas Nech, we learn about the Mabul. The Mabul was made of water. It was a flood of water. So there's a Mayim already, a Mayim Rabim starting already from the Alter Rebbe and many of the Rabim after him, who said Mamorim on Shabbos Parshas Noach with this Dibur HaMaskal of Mayim Rabim. So this is a pasuk in Shir Hashim, and let's begin. Mayim Rabim leichlu lechabes ha'ava. Many waters won't be able to extinguish the love. When a hares leishtafuha, and rivers won't be able to wash it away. Say Shlomo Melech is saying that there's a type of a love which is so intense, so powerful, that even if it's washed over by many waters, and even if rivers are rushing through it, nevertheless, they can't extinguish and they can't wash away this love. Of course, Shlomo Melech is talking a muscle on the love between the Yidden and the Eibishter. So let's see. The Isa v'Dusha Rabbi Tzena Nesienu, our Rabim bring down in their Ma'amorim, Shemayim Rabim, what is the Nimshal? What is this Mayim Rabim, these many waters that Shlomo Melech is talking about? Him kol tir desaparnasa v'hamachshavah shebinyan elam haza. These are the worries and the bothers of earning a livelihood, and b'chlal, the thoughts that a person has to put himself into in inyan elam haza. Either has to or does b'pel mamish, like we'll see. Even though a yid in this world is living this reality where he has these tirdas haparnasa, these bothers of earning a livelihood, and all the other thoughts in Inyan Elam Hazeh, nevertheless, because he's a yid, all of these forces, none of these forces can extinguish the hidden love. When we say the hidden love, in other words, we mean to say the love that comes from the essence of the soul, which every single yid has.
So it's a big chiluk. Because Stam is only this Avachanius. Maybe that it could wash that away, but the Pneumius Ava that it can't touch.
The Mashmal says, yeah, that's the Mashmal.
Oh, that's the
That the Ava that a person feels, I wouldn't say b'chitzenis, but I would say begalui. The Ava that a person feels begalui in a revealed way. In other words, the Ava that he's able to bring out some emotion in his heart that he feels either during davening or during learning or while he's doing a mitzvah. How are you? So that Ava, perhaps all of the bothers of this world can interfere with it and maybe even extinguish it. But there's a much deeper love that a yid has within him that comes from the essence of his soul, and that nothing can touch. And then Shlomo Melech says another word, rivers can't wash it away. Yeah, so if Chas v'Shalom was poetry, there was the Tanoim in the generation of Rabbi Akiva are the ones who are Mesader, which Sfarim are part of the Tanakh. Of course, the Torah part, Chumash Torah, is not a question. But then the next 19 Sfarim, which should be included or not. So some of them were left out. They're known as Sfarim Chitzonim. And then there were the Sfarim that were put in. So there was a big machlekes between the Chachamim and Rabbi Akiva, where the other Chachamim wanted to leave out Shir Hashem. They didn't believe that Shir Hashem should be part of Tanakh. I don't know if they would replace it with something else, whatever the cheshbon was. And it was Dafke Rabbi Akiva. I don't remember the details, but Rabbi Akiva said, no, this goes to the depth of it. This is Adrabah. This brings out the whole point of everything. And he prevailed and he convinced them. And Taka Shir Hashirim was included in Tanakh because Shir Hashirim is not a book of poetry. Yeah, what was B'Pashtus? What was the argument? Anybody who learns Shir Hashirim can understand why there was this argument between the Chachamim that you could think that Shir Hashirim, it's not appropriate to include it in the holy Sfarim of the Tanakh because it's talking about the love between a man and his wife. And l'chura, such matters are not what you think of when you think about holiness.
To discuss about.
It's al kaponim. It's not something that should be part of Tanakh. But Rabbi Akiva prevailed, and he explained that no, the Adab, this is a muscle. This is describing the depth of the love that a Yid has to the Eibishter. So it's not poetry. It's every word is exact. So what's Shlomo Melech saying over here? Mayim Rabim leichel l'chabes. Many waters can't extinguish it, and neither can rivers carry it away. If it was just supposed to be poetry, okay, very nice, a good one. It's a good one. But there's obviously a very deep meaning in every single one of them. So what's Pshat in the Haris Leishtafu? And the Haris Leishtafu is not that it's another thing, but rather it's saying these Tirdas HaParnasa and these machshavas and matters of this world, these thoughts of worldly matters. Shegam kasher machshavas hanal, when these very thoughts they're extremely bothersome. To the extent that they go back and forth and they run constantly, without letting up ever, without any rest. And that's the word of a nor. Mayim Rabim, you can have many waters, but it stays still, it's steady. Comes the Chanetzageb, and you could swim. Yeah, you could stay in one place, you could tread water. But then you have Naharis, the Naharis, they're just constantly rushing. And not only that, not only Shenevim Tamid Li Hefsik, V'naidi V'azli B'shatif Gadol. They move and they go forth with a rage, with a great strength, with a great flow.
Like water out.
Like white water out. It's raging rivers. It's not stam rivers. The power of raging rivers, I mean, especially when you see when rivers flood, I mean, they wash away houses, buildings, cars, everything, like toothpicks, trees. They rushed past a tree, and when the water finally recedes, there's not a single leaf left on the tree. I should take over from all of them if the whole tree wasn't uprooted. So it's a mighty force. Nevertheless, all of these bothers and all of these worries, even when they go with such raging force, they can't wash away the love, and they also can't extinguish the love that a Yid has to the Eibishter. Okay, so this is the story that we're talking about, Pashtus, that you have a Yid living in this world. A Yid is supposed to have a love to the Eibishter, and he does have a love to the Eibishter. However, he finds himself the majority of the day and the majority of his life in a storm and in a raging river of bothers of this world. Says Shlomo Melech and teaches the Alter Rebbe and the other Rabim that they can't wash away this love of the Avim Soteris that he has to the Eibishter. His connection to the Eibishter will never be touched, will never be harmed. Now, let's try to understand this on a little bit of a deeper level. What type of a person are we talking about? Yeah, Ace Beis is going to help us understand what's the chiddush over here and what's the strength of the statement over here by first understanding just who is this person who's experiencing this life. What's the diak and the lashon that a person has tirdas haparnasa? The Alter Rebbe could have expressed himself in many other ways, like he says later on. They could have also said different bothers of this world. What's the tirdas dafka of parnasa, of earning a livelihood? What's the diak over here? So let's talk about how a person is supposed to earn a livelihood and how a yid is supposed to approach it in this world. It says in the pasuk that a yid is supposed to work to earn a livelihood with his hands. That the way a yid is supposed to earn a livelihood is only by the toil, by the work of his hands. He's not supposed to put his mind and his heart into any strenuous effort in order to earn a livelihood. His hands, yes, but his heart and his mind, not. Because the way the Eibishter gives everything in this world, he gives it dafke through natural means and through the natural course of the world. And therefore, Teda tells us that therefore, a person must do something in this world. And only by this action, this activity, this business that he's doing in this world, does the Eibishter's Hashpah come from above. In other words, in Ingeret, you could think, since the Eibishter is the one who gives Parnasa, you don't have to do anything. But the Eibishter Dafka gives the Parnasa, he gives the Dafka by enclothing it in the natural course of things, and therefore you must work and do business or whatever type of work you have in the natural world. Nevertheless, like it says in the pasuk, that the Eibishter will give you bracha, will give you success in everything that you do. And the pasuk says tasa. In other words, you must do something, and only after you do something will the Eibishter give you success in it and parnasa through it. Va'ad, until that sometimes that mitzat the greatness of the concealment. In other words, mitzat the greatness of the darkness of this world, especially the world of Golus, the times of Golus that we live in. So not only that you have to do business, but even more than that, a person has to put in strenuous effort and arduous work in order to earn a living. And that's the way it is. A person has to do it. The proper and appropriate yet way for a yid to do it is that he shouldn't involve in this action nothing more than his asiyah, which is called a kech, an external power and external ability. In other words, he has to put in the hard work and toil of his hands and the other external limbs that he has, but not his inner and higher powers and abilities that he has in his mind and in his heart. In other words, like this: a person is made up in general of two parts: his peil mamish, his action part, his what he does in the physical world, and that's expressed by his hands. And then he has what's going on inside him: his heart, his mind. What's he preoccupied with in his mind? What's his heart interested in? So you have these two parts to the person: his pnimius dikakeches and his chitzenius dikakeches. So the way that Yiddishkeit says a person is supposed to approach earning a livelihood is only with your hands, with the external part of your being, your actions. But what's inside your heart, what's deep inside your consciousness, that's only serving the Eibishter. Kikeches elu, these inner keches, have to be they have to be dedicated only to serving the Eibishter, because that's the entire purpose for which he was created. A person was created to serve the Eibishter. So what's he supposed to give himself over to? He's supposed to give himself over to serving the Eibishter and nothing more. If serving the Eibishter was another thing on the long list of things that a person is supposed to do, so you say, okay, on Sunday I think about Inyan Elam Hazeh, and on Monday I think about the Eibishter, because it's part of the list of things I have to serve the Eibishter. But that's not the way it is. The Tachlis HaKavana, why was a person created in the first place? What's the excuse, so to speak, for you to exist? Why are you even here? For what? To serve the Eibishter. That's why you're here. If that's the case, then it's a constant thing and it's an all-encompassing thing. My entirety has to be given over. If this is the only reason I exist, obviously I have to be given over to it entirely. So therefore, the person is never supposed to give over his mayach and his life to the Eibishter. The Eibishter gave him a chitzenius ability to do work. In his, it's only supposed to be dedicated to the Eibishter and not to Parnasa. A person The Eibishter also gave him some external, inconsequential abilities that are not really part of him. That are just like a technical, adjunct to the makeup of the person, and so he could do work with his hands to earn a living. But the person himself, his heart and his mind, completely and absolutely given over to the Eibishter, not a drop even to Parnasa. And that explains what that looks like, because it sounds like it's impossible. So that explains why even though since the Eibishter hides and channels his ashpa through the garments of nature, so the person also has to use his mind in order to figure out how to do business. Nevertheless, how much of your mind are you supposed to put into it is like this. Person says, my business is I'm a plumber, I'm a mechanic, I'm a software developer, I'm a real estate investor, whatever it is, so some other businessman, yeah, importer, exporter, seller on Amazon, whatever it is. This is what I do. This is what I do. In order to figure out how to do it, I have to use my head a little bit. Even if I'm an accountant, or a mathematician, the accounting part is just what I do. So I have to now use my head in order to figure out how can I figure out the taxes, file a person's taxes, figure out the taxes of a corporation, which is more complicated. So I have to use my head in order to figure out the asiya. I'm not using my head in order to figure out how to make money. In other words, I'm not using my head and putting it into how am I going to move my money around? Where am I going to find a new kunz, a scheme, a backwards thing, an innovative thing. I'm going to come up with all of these things. In other words, I'm putting my creative mind and my emotions into trying to figure out how to make money. That's already wrong. You're supposed to put whatever mental capacity is required for the asiya. This is the industry that I'm in. The Eibishter leads everybody to their industry. And it could also be a complicated industry, and it could also be an industry that requires innovation. But the point is that he doesn't look as to figure out, I'm struggling a little bit to describe it. He knows this is my business. This is my line of business. In order to do this line of business, I have to figure out what to do. The accountant has to say, in order to make the books properly, I have to figure out, is this an expense, or is this a capital, not a capital investment, but is this, who knows a little bit about accounting? Sometimes you pay for something and it's an expense, and sometimes you pay for something and it's better. It's an asset.
It's capital gains.
Capital gain. No, it could be the cost of goods, right? So if you pay to buy inventory, so it's called cost of goods sold. It's not a business expense. When you're paying for electricity, so if you're a manufacturing company, so electricity is actually part of it's part of the cost of manufacturing the goods. But if you're a regular business, electricity is an expense. Buying your inventory is a cost of goods sold. Yeah, and then and you get a lot more complicated and a nuanced situation. So the accountant has to use his head to figure out how to do it. But that's all he's using his head for, to figure out how to do the accounting. That's his work. He's not emotionally and intellectually investing himself into how he's going to make a living. He has full faith that in this line of work of his, he's going to make money. The same thing with a real estate investor. A real estate investor has to have contacts with different people in different cities. Imagine he's a global investor, and people have to know him, and he has to be able to look at what do we call it, the cap rate, whatever it is that it is in real estate, how much income you can make, what it's going to cost, what it costs to maintain the building, management fees. Fine, so he does all of his cheshbonos and he votes it up or down. He sees maybe if somebody could dig up the basement, and by digging up the basement, now he has a whole other unit to rent. Or maybe there's air rights that he could sell to the neighbor, build higher. Okay, fine. But it's well in the line. He's in the business. He's in the real estate business. So he's thinking, how do you make money in the real estate business? He's not investing his true mental capacity and his emotion into making a living. And that's what the Rebbe is saying over here. He's merely using as much of his mind as he needs to do the business, to get through the day, to do the business that the Eibishter led him to be into. So this is the way a Yid is supposed to do it, is supposed to earn his living. This is the way it's supposed to be. And this would be true even if it costs the Yid money. In other words, even if the Yid could say, so I'll never be rich, but this is what the Torah tells me, this is how I'm supposed to approach my business, so then the Yid would have to do it that way. But really, it goes even deeper than that. Because the truth is that it's not going to cost him any business. Why? And especially since the truth is, it's the bracha of the Eibishter, that the Eibishter gives a person in his business. That's what brings him wealth. All of his business dealings are only garments for the bracha of the Eibishter. Not that the business dealings is where his parnasa comes from. I move on. So it's understood like the Tzemach Tzedek says, somebody who says, I have to have a coat. A coat keeps me warm in the winter. So if I have a bigger coat, the person will say, why should I get a coat that's the right size? A coat that's the right size helps me. Let me get a coat that's double my size. For sure, it will help me double the amount. Right? Obviously, it doesn't work that way. The sleeves are too long. The coat itself is too long, you trip on it. And not only that, it lets in so much cold air because it's so loose fitting that every time a small wind blows, fills you up with the below zero temperature into the coat. And so not only that it doesn't help to make it bigger, it ruins it. So the levushim of ASIC, when a person does too much in his business, it actually hurts his parnasa, says the Tzemach Tzedek. So this is the way a Yid is supposed to look at the world. In the beginning of Ice Space, we spoke about how he's supposed to do it on a practical level. And now, with these last few lines, the Birkas Havai Hitashir, the Rebbe is explaining where's he supposed to be holding in his head. In his head, he's supposed to know that the reason why he approaches business the way he approaches business, only with his hands, even when he has to put his head into it, is because he knows that it all comes from the Eibishter. He's in touch with the truth of this world. He's in touch with the truth of the Eibishter, and he never loses sight of it. Now let's get back to what the Alter Rebbe is telling us. That's why the Alter Rebbe and the other Rabim say that you might have a person who's not only bothered by Elam Hazeh, he's bothered, excuse me, by the Tirdas HaParnasa. How he's going to earn a livelihood bothers him, and he puts his head into it and his heart into it, and he's constantly preoccupied with it the entire time, like a river that never ends. We're talking about a Yid over here. We're not talking about a tzaddik. In other words, like this. You could have learned the beginning of the Mayim and say, that what you're talking about is the Haben Yid. When you have a Yid like a Pinya, and his head is in the right place, and his heart is in the right place, and he was by who knows how many Verbringens of them, and by Yechidus of them. So if he has Tirdas HaParnasa, so it's not going to bother him. Because his head is in the right place. He learns Chassidus, he meditates on it, he davens with a gefill. He's going to be okay. He's not going to be, no matter what comes at him throughout the day, he's going to be okay. But how about a person who has Tirdas HaParnasa? His head is not in the right way. It's not in the right place. His heart is not in the right place. He's bothered the whole day. How is he going to earn a living? He forgets it's all in Hashem's hands. Yeah. Who amongst us can say that they stand above this challenge? I don't know. So you say to yourself, how about a person who's in this place? Do we also say about him? And that's Taka the Chiddush over here of Mayim Rabim what the Alter Rebbe expresses as Tirdas HaParnasa. This is true even if your head is not in the right place, even if your heart is not in the right place. You don't do the Hisbonenus. And if you do the Hisbonenus, as soon as you leave Shul, the Hisbonenus goes away. Like the Alter Rebbe says, as soon as the Hisbonenus goes away, the Midas go away. So even such a person is in such a place, which this is a clear indication that he didn't put in the work that he has to. There's a diak over here. It doesn't say this is a libid in nafshay. In other words, you could say what I see in these ACS is that every single person is shaykh to it. The only question is, did you spend the time on your level? We know you don't have to be on a level of a high tzaddik, but you have to just spend the time on your level to contemplate this truth. That's because of Ahitash. Just spend enough time on it, whether it be a minute or 2 minutes or 5 minutes, whatever amount of time it is, and keep it or make yourself a reminder once an hour, whatever way it is that you have a hisbonenus to leave it in nafshay. To remind yourself right here with this set of bills that I have, with these opportunities in business that I have or that I don't have, with with everything that's there, just remind yourself, and this person doesn't do it, and it's something that he could do, and he doesn't do it, and that's why we call him. He's in a matzav nomach. He's in a low situation. We call him. Nevertheless, even by this person, we say, even by this person, his tirdis, his many bothers, cannot chas v'shalom extinguish this avim esoteris that every single yid has in his heart, and he's constantly connected to the Eibishter with it, and constantly serves the Eibishter with it. Okay. One more detail in this idea that's really leading up to Dalit. I'm not sure if Gimel has to do to Beis or to Dalit about Kulpanim. Why is it so, Taka? Not why is it so, but what's the Chiddush? Why would you think that the forces of Parnasa have within it the ability to extinguish the love of a Yid to the Eibishter? Now, I don't know, everybody could look at it in his own way. So you could say, which one is obvious to you? I don't know. If I think of it this way, I could think of it this way. On the one hand, I could say it seems obvious to me that the forces of this physical world and the bothers and the worries of how am I going to pay my bills is the stronger force on the person, and I could readily see how it's going to wash away my dedication to the Eibishter and lower and lessen my service to the Eibishter. Or you could look at it the other way. You could look at it, you could say up as what was Bechlal Dahava Amina. It seems from the way the Rebbe is saying, that what was Bechlal Dahava Amina? Why would you think that it could wash it away? So, wherever you're holding, whichever take you take on it, that it's a Chiddush or that Bechlal, why did you think it could wash it away? But here the Rebbe says, what's the Chiddush? What's the Chiddush? Why would I have thought that they should be able to wash it away? Even though in my personal life I could see it's why would I had thought, I don't know, experientially I could tell you that I could see a big havim and why I could wash it away. About Kapanim, David says, what's the Chiddush? Why would I have thought that it could wash it away? Do you do it? They say Shemayim Rabim Shutilis Parnasa. Why the bothers of Parnasa exert such a tremendous force on a person? Why do they have such a big hold on us, such a strong hold on us? Because where do these Mayim Rabim come from? They come from the world of Tayu, which the world of Tayu is Kadam, it came before. In other words, it's higher than the world of Tikkun. We'll stop maybe at the end of this section. That's why they're called Mayim Rabim, because they are many mitzad, not only mitzad a quantity thing, but also because of the place that they come from. That they come from Tayu, and therefore they are great and many. And this is the Chiddush. And with this that we say that they still can't overcome the love that's in the neshama, even though the shadish of the Mayim Rabim comes from the world of Tayu, and this shadish is higher than Tikkun, which is the shadish Nefesh Elikis, which is where the Nefesh Elikis comes from. So says the Rebbe like this, or Chassidus explains like this: is very clear. The reason why we find it challenging in this world to overcome the forces of this world, including the Mayim Rabim, is not only because it's real to us, because this is what we see with our eyes, right? The famous story with the Berditchever, who was looking to be Melamed Chutz on the Yidden, and he said, Eibishter, put all of the taivas of Eilam Haza in the Sfarim Shafa, and put your goodness of Gan Eden in front of our eyes, and you'll see what kind of tzaddikim the Yidden are. So that's one explanation why it's so hard for us to connect to what we're supposed to be connected. But there's also a deeper explanation, which is that where does our neshama come from? Esav is older than Yaakov. Why is that? Right? Yoda Echezes Ba'akev Esav. And Yaakov has to be Mevared Esav. Why is this? Why? Because Esav and Bechlal Elam Haza come from Tayu. And Tayu is a higher world. Tayu, there's Eris Mirubin. There's tremendous lights. And in Tikkun, there's tremendous Kalim. Kalim are lower. Kalim are lower than the Eris that shine in the Kalim. So you should know that the source of everything that's in this world is higher than the source of our neshama. So we have over here our neshama in this world that's pushing us to serve the Eibishter, but it's up against a force that's greater than it is.
So maybe it should overcome it.
So you would think would overcome it. And that's why we say no, it can't overcome it. It still can't overcome it. How does that make any sense? I thought you said that they come from a higher source, that they have a greater energy. It says like this: "Vatam lezehu k'mishkasav lifnei zeh rishaper rishbei eish shalheves yudkei." That the flames from the coal, this love that the Nefesh Elokis experiences, that the Yid experiences, comes from these flaming coals or flaming embers, and until a tremendous flame of Yudke. It shall have its cup. Shall have its Yudke, a tremendous flame. What does this mean? Shaper ish be'esh shall have its Yudke in Primus Ein Yanim. Right? Just to touch it again, I made it sound complicated. This love is shaper ish be'esh. It's like a coal with a flame coming out of it. Shall have its ka, a tremendous flame. And it's explained in Chassidus that this is talking about different levels in the neshama. The revealed source, the immediate source of the neshama, the way it is in this world, is taka from the Elam of Tikkun. And therefore, our revealed keiches left just on their own as revealed keiches. Maybe taka could find it too challenging to face the challenges of this world, especially in a time of Golus. However, there's an earlier source, there's an earlier marker of the neshama, and that earlier marker of the neshama is the atzvus and stuff that's higher even than Tayu, and therefore it can withstand all of it. The source of the love of the Nefesh Elokis is this madrega, this idea of shalheves yudke, the way it's connected and included within the coal, within its source. In other words, the love that the neshama has down here comes from the fact that even after the yid is born and the neshama is brought down into this world, even at that moment and in that state, it's connected to its source and included in its source. And even higher than what this pasuk says, it's within even the flintstone that we discussed in last Mayim or 2 Mayim ago. That's where actually the source of the neshama is. That the spirit, the neshama, will return to the Eibishter who gave it. That the level of Elokim Hashem Nesana is this idea of tzur. Okay, so what do we have from the beginning of the Mayim? Yeah, we have like this. You have being careful not to say anything, but to me, it seems like it's an inspirational word, and I don't mean that in the good sense. Says we have a story like this. We have a yid down here in this world. We said already what type of a yid he is. In other words, that he's not a pesach tzaddik, he's not a beinoni. He's a yid who can't bring himself to do the work that he's supposed to do, to contemplate a libed nafshe, and put himself in the right state of mind. We have this yid over here. He's in this world, and this is who he is. This is his reality. And we tell him, nevertheless, don't worry, your quintessential connection to the Eibishter will never be extinguished. Your love to the Eibishter, you are a Yid, you will forever be a Yid, and you will be connected to the Eibishter forever. Right? So, fine, it gives inspiration. You're telling me that even when I find myself challenged, when I feel I succumbed to it yesterday and the day before and the last week and the month before, and I find myself in a rut and I can't get myself out of it, etc., etc., and I'm really not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Maybe up a space where I'm dropping off on how much tzedakah I give, or maybe how much learning I do, or Torah, mitzvahs. It's all dry. It's all falling apart. Maybe I missed a minyan, whatever. It's all falling apart. So you tell the Yid, don't worry. Don't worry. You should know that you're still connected to the Eibishter. Okay, it's inspiring to know. I didn't lose hope. There's still hope that somewhere in some other world, in somebody else's life, in some alternative reality, maybe there'll be something worthwhile come out of my existence in this world. So it's inspirational. But it's not telling me that I could find value in my service to the Eibishter now. It's not telling me that I could be excited and find accomplishment. In other words, not my own accomplishment. Succeed in my service of the Eibishter. So it picks me up, yes, but it's a little foreign. It doesn't connect to my life right now. It lifts my spirits, yes, 100%. I'm not a total write-off. I'm not completely lost, But we could do much better, and the Rebbe will help us do much better. Should we do another half hour, or should we leave it here? I think perhaps we should leave it here. We won't rush the end of the Maimer. Rebbe takes it up 2 more levels and says of art in this Maimer that it does not exist in any other Maimer, and it's this Maimer. It's part of the Rebbe's whole gang of turning the whole world upside down. It says, what do we usually think? We usually think that holy and special and good is Lamaila somewhere over there. It's between the Malachim, between Michal and Gabriel, and Me'al Reishi is Shechina scale over there. So over there I'll find my holiness. And over here, yes, other things. You have to suffer. If you're a Dehebenid, you're suffering. If you're not a Dehebenid, you're saying left menatod. Right? So wherever you are. But there's over there is Lamaila and over here is Lamata. And Rebbe turns it all upside down. The Pashat makes it backward, not backwards. He says the truth is that you're looking at it backwards. It's not like that, and it's part of Deir HaShvi. It started in Basi Lagani. In other words, if we're saying the Mashiach has to be in this world, then doesn't it make sense that actually this is where the real action is? This is where everything is going on. And that's what's going on over there with the Malachim and in Atzilus and in Adam Kadmin and Echespas. That's not where the real story is. So we'll see some Rebbe over here brings it out in Benegeh to our Aveda today, just how the game is over here, and we're doing fantastic stuff. So Mitzvah Hashem next week.
Yeah, 9:30. 9:30. Every night, 7:45, 9:30.